Coffee's ready, Alina said, her voice soft, the same way it had been for years. I smiled, sitting at the breakfast table. You always know how to start my morning right, she grinned faintly, brushing her hair aside. Habit, I guess. Ryan's voice came from the doorway. You two still make the rest of us single guys look bad. I laughed. You just haven't found someone who can stand you yet. He chuckled, sitting down. Or maybe I'm just waiting for someone who makes coffee this good. Alina smiled politely, but didn't look at him long. Something about that made me uneasy, but I brushed it off. Busy day? She asked. Meeting with the new clients. Ryan's presenting the sketches, I said. You should see what he's done, genius. Ryan grinned. Coming from you, that means something. She looked between us. You two are like brothers. I nodded. That's because we are. We built everything together. For a moment it felt warm, like life couldn't get better. My wife, my best friend, my career, it all felt solid. Until her phone buzzed on the counter. Alina walked over quickly. Work, she said too fast. Ryan smirked. You've been getting a lot of work lately. She shot him a look. Clients don't rest, Ryan. I chuckled lightly, trying to ease the tension. She's the hardest worker I know. But she didn't smile back. Instead, she tucked her phone away and excused herself. Ryan leaned closer. You okay, man? Yeah, I said. Just tired. Maybe she is too. He nodded slowly. Marriage can be complicated. His tone lingered, but I ignored it. Not for us, I said confidently, though a small part of me wasn't sure. That night, while she showered, I worked in my study. The silence in the house felt heavy, like something unsaid hung in the air. When she came out, I smiled. Movie night. Maybe tomorrow, she said softly. I'm exhausted. She kissed my forehead and went to bed early. I sat there for a while, staring at my laptop but not seeing anything. Her phone buzzed again on the table beside the couch. I wasn't the kind of man who snooped, but something inside me stirred. I hesitated, then reached for it. A message preview glowed on the screen. Good night, my everything. Got breath caught. My hand trembled slightly. I stared at those words, trying to make sense of them. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it wasn't meant for her. Maybe I was overreacting. But deep down, a voice whispered, you'll already know who it's from. I placed the phone back exactly as it was, my heart pounding. Upstairs, I could hear her breathing softly, peacefully. I forced a smile that no one could see and whispered, everything's fine. But for the first time in my life, I didn't believe myself. Alina, are you okay? I asked as she fixed her hair in the mirror. She didn't look up. Why do you ask? You've been quiet lately. Distant. She sighed. I'm just tired, Ethan. Work's been overwhelming. I nodded slowly. You've been saying that a lot. She turned, half smiling. Would you rather I lie and say I'm fine? I tried to joke. You just did. She frowned. Don't start. I raised my hands. I'm not. I just miss talking to you. Her eyes softened, but only for a second. We'll talk this weekend, okay? I promise. Sure. I forced a smile. Weekend it is? Later that night, I found her sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Who are you texting? I asked playfully. Grace, she said quickly. She's planning Mom's birthday. I nodded, pretending not to notice her thumb slide over the screen to delete something. Tell her I said hi. She knows, she said, without looking up. The next morning, she came downstairs dressed like she was going to a gala. Wow, I said. Who are you trying to impress? Clients, she replied. Presentation day, right? I muttered. You didn't tell me you had one? She gave me a distracted smile. You forget things all the time, too. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was paranoid at work. I tried to bury myself in blueprints, but my mind kept drifting. Ryan walked in, grinning. Man, you look like you haven't slept in a week. Just work, I said. He leaned on my desk. Or maybe marriage stuff. I looked up. What's that supposed to mean? He laughed. Relax. Every couple hits rough patches. I'm not sure it's a patch, I said quietly. He clapped my shoulder. Don't overthink. Alina adores you, I said, forcing a chuckle. She does. But his eyes lingered a second too long before he turned away. That night, Alina's sister Grace called. Hey, Ethan, she said. Haven't seen you guys around lately, I said. She's been busy. Grace hesitated. She told me she's been traveling a lot for work. Is that true? I frowned. Traveling? No, she hasn't mentioned that, oh, Grace said, her tone uneasy. Maybe I misunderstood. We hung up. But my chest felt heavy. Hours later, Alina was asleep beside me. Her breathing was soft, peaceful. I tried to close my eyes, but my head buzzed with doubts. Then she mumbled something barely audible. I leaned closer. What? Her lips moved again. Ryan, my heart froze. The room went silent, except for my pounding pulse. I stared at her face, calm and untroubled, and whispered to myself, tell me I didn't hear that. But I had, and nothing felt safe anymore. Going out again? I asked, leaning against the kitchen door frame. Alina slipped on her heels, barely glancing at me. Client dinner. You remember, right? I nodded slowly. Right, the mysterious client? She frowned. Don't start, Ethan. It's business. I didn't say anything. You don't have to, she said sharply, grabbing her purse. I forced a smile. Drive safe. I always do, she said, walking out. The door clicked behind her, leaving a silence that felt too heavy for one man to bear. My phone buzzed. Ryan's name flashed on the screen. I stared at it but didn't answer. Something about tonight felt wrong. I grabbed my keys. Just to make sure, I told myself. Just once. Her car was easy to spot on the main road. She drove faster than usual, heading out of the city. My heart pounded as I followed her taillights. Every mile screaming questions I didn't want answered. She pulled into a hotel parking lot. A nice one. Not businesslike. Not casual. My chest tightened. I parked a few spaces away. Gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Please, I whispered. Let this be a misunderstanding. A few minutes later, a black car pulled up. Ryan stepped out, adjusting his tie. My breath caught. He looked around, then walked straight to her car. She stepped out, smiling softly, that same smile she used to give me. He touched her arm. She didn't pull away. I wanted to burst out of the car, scream, demand an explanation, but my body wouldn't move. I just watched. They walked inside together, their laughter faint but real. My chest felt like it was caving in. My heart wasn't just breaking, it was collapsing, piece by piece. I sat there for what felt like hours. The world outside blurred through the windshield. My hands shook so violently I had to press them against my knees to stop. How long? I whispered. How long has this been happening? Images, Flash Tower anniversary dinner, her late nights, Ryan's long hugs, all of it. Lies, all of it. I started the engine, headlights cutting through my blurred vision. I didn't know where I was driving. I just needed to move, to breathe, to forget. The sight burned into my eyes. The radio played some slow song about love and loss. I turned it off. Silence was worse, but it felt honest. By the time I got home, my body was numb. I didn't go upstairs. I couldn't. Her scent lingered everywhere, mocking me. I packed a bag, clothes, wallet, nothing more. Standing at the doorway, I looked once toward the bedroom. She lied to me, I whispered. They both did. Then I walked out, not knowing where I was going, only certain of one thing. The life I'd known ended tonight. The city I ran to felt empty, loud streets, nameless faces, no past to haunt me. That's what I wanted. My phone buzzed again. Alina, then Ryan, then silence. I stared at the screen until it went dark. You don't get to talk to me anymore, I whispered. Every night I replayed everything, her laugh, his grin, every lie disguised as care. The sound of their voices tangled in my head until I wanted to scream. At a small cafe near my rented apartment, I met him, Mr. Harris. Gray hair, calm eyes. The kind of man who'd seen too much, but didn't flinch anymore. He looked at me from the next table. You look like someone trying too hard to disappear, I sighed. Is it that obvious? Only to someone who's done it before, he said, stirring his tea. I smirked weakly. You a therapist or something? Used to be, he said. Now I just talk to strangers who look like they're losing. I laughed bitterly. Then I'm your perfect project. Right. He didn't smile. Losing isn't the problem. Staying lost is... I looked away. You don't know what I've lost. Then tell me, he said simply. I hesitated. But something about his tone, quiet, patient, broke through. My wife, my best friend. Both of them. He nodded. That's a double wound. Betrayal and humiliation. The deepest kind. Feels like I'm rotting from the inside, I said. Because you're letting them live rent-free in your head. I scoffed. What am I supposed to do? Forget? No, he said. Remember, but don't bleed for it anymore. His words lingered. Anger keeps me alive, I muttered. Then you're surviving, not living, he replied. Revenge isn't shouting or swinging fists. It's control. It's watching them fall without lifting a finger. I leaned forward. You believe in revenge? I believe in balance, he said. The universe has its own timing. You just have to stop rushing it. That night, his words echoed in my mind. Control, balance, patience, days turned into weeks. I worked odd freelance projects, ate alone, walked the same streets until they felt like a map of my thoughts. Sometimes, I caught myself opening my phone, her name still there. Unread messages piling up. One night, I deleted them all. It didn't fix the pain, but it stopped the bleeding. When I saw Mr. Harris again, he nodded at me. You look lighter. I deleted her, I said quietly. He smiled faintly. Good. Now delete the version of yourself that needed her. I didn't answer, but for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt something close to peace. Not forgiveness. Not yet, just silence and the strength hidden inside it. 2 years. That's how long it took to turn my wreckage into armor. The mirror no longer reflected the broken man I was. It showed someone colder, calmer. I'd built a life in silence, away from the ghosts of my past. And tonight, those ghosts came knocking again. Mr. Walker, my assistant said, sliding a folder onto my desk. Potential acquisitions, mall logistics firm in financial trouble. You might want to look. I nodded absently until my eyes caught the name on the papers. Ryan & Co. Logistics. My pulse slowed. My fingers brushed the logo as if confirming it was real. Where did you say this company is based? Harper Street, downtown, she replied. Owners struggling. Divorce, debt, mismanagement, classic collapse. Divorce? My chest tightened, but I forced a smile. Schedule the meeting, I said. No names attached. I'll handle this one personally. That night I couldn't sleep. The city outside murmured while I stared at the ceiling, the memory of Alina's laughter cutting through the dark. I whispered to the emptiness, you chose him. And now, he'll lose everything. When I met Ryan again, he didn't know it was me. I'd changed everything, my look. My name, even my voice, carried a different rhythm. The meeting was held through intermediaries. I watched from a separate room via live feed. Ryan looks desperate, my broker muttered. He'll sell at half value. Offer less, I said. I want him to feel the water rising before he drowns. My voice barely resembled the one that once pleaded for truth. Now, it was the sound of calculation. Days later, the deal closed. I owned his company. Quietly, completely. Sitting in my office. I called the one person who had helped me reach this state of control, Mr. Harris. His calm voice came through, like a mentor guiding a soldier before battle. So he said, You found your target again. Yes, I replied. He's right where I need him, and how do you feel? Nothing, I said. No rage. Just precision. That's good, Harris said softly. Revenge isn't about fire, it's about frost. Let it freeze him slowly. I smiled faintly. Then I'll let winter begin. Started restructuring Ryan's company under a new holding name. Every decision I made chipped away at his foundation clients, redirected, contracts renegotiated, his name slowly erased from the records. In the process, I learned that Alina had left him months ago. The irony stung less than I expected. Maybe she'd thought she'd escaped the storm. She hadn't. One night I sat in my penthouse office overlooking the city lights. My reflection stared back, sharp and unreadable. I whispered, "I rebuilt myself from the ashes you left. Now, I'll make sure you feel every ember." For the first time in years, I didn't feel Panay felt purpose. And this time, purpose was enough. I sat behind the glass, watching him sign the form like any other applicant. He didn't look at me. He didn't know the man he was asking for a job from was sitting 2 rooms away. Name. I asked through the intercom, using the new voice I'd practiced. "Ryan Miller," he said, casual, tired. "Used to run Ryan & Co. Logistics. Looking for stable work." "Why leave your company?" I asked. He laughed too quick. "Long story. Debt. Divorce. You know how it goes. You have driving experience." I asked. "Years," he said. "Handled deliveries, pickups, client runs. I can start tomorrow." References. I said. He hesitated. "Can't really give many. People don't like calling after they're embarrassed. You understand, this is a strict position." "Punctuality, discretion," I said. "Discretion's my middle name," he muttered. "I need this job, man." "You'll be working directly for Mr. Walker," I said. The name was a mask, mine by paper. "Morning starts at 6. You'll pick me up at the corner of Harrow and 5th. Any questions?" "No," he said. "When do I start?" "Tomorrow," I said. "Welcome aboard." After he left, I stared at the empty chair and felt nothing like triumph, more like watchful cold. The next morning, I climbed into the back seat of his car before he could see me. "Good morning," said Eyes on the road. "Morning," I answered softly. He kept his hands steady, but his jaw tightened. "You live alone, right? No kids?" he asked, awkwardly casual. "I do," I said. "Work keeps me busy," cleared his throat. "You ever regret things?" "Sometimes," I said, "but I don't live in them." Silence settled like a weight. I watched his profile in the mirror, the small tremor near his mouth, the way his fingers drummed on the steering wheel. "Do you know Ethan Cole?" he asked suddenly. For a moment, I let the silence speak. "No," I lied. "You sure?" He pressed. We used to work together." "Good man. You sound fond," I said. "Yeah," he admitted. "He's talented, smart. I always wanted what he had." The confession slipped out like poison. My knuckles whitened on the seat. We stopped at a light. I looked in the rear view and watched his face pale as recognition finally landed. The color drained. He swallowed hard. "Ryan," I said, keeping my voice flat. "Drive." He blinked. "Ethan." "Yes." I watched him break in slow motion. "You drove me for years in the worst way. Now, you'll drive me for me." He tried to apologize, words tumbling. I cut him off. "Do your job," I said. "No explanations." Every morning after, he sat behind the wheel and we spoke little. When he did, his voice was smaller, softer. Shame does slow a man down. It makes him careful. It makes him visible. That was the point. Sometimes I wanted to tell him everything. Most days, I simply watched him break. She stood outside my office door like a ghost I'd tried to forget. When I saw her reflection in the glass, my pulse didn't race, it froze. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Please, I just need a few minutes." I leaned back in my chair. "5," I said flatly. "Sit down." She hesitated before stepping in. Her perfume was faint, her eyes hollow. Time had done what I couldn't. It had punished her. "You look different," she said. "I am," I replied. "What do you want, Alina?" Her hands trembled. "To say I'm sorry. For everything. For lying, for betraying you. Ryan, he used me. He took everything and left. You chose him," I said. "That wasn't his trick, it was your decision." Tears welled in her eyes. I thought he loved me. I thought you'd stopped caring. I laughed quietly. So you punished me for your imagination. She looked down. You have every right to hate me. I don't hate you, I said. Hate requires passion. What I feel now is absence. Her voice cracked. Please don't be cruel. Cruel? I repeated. Alina, you broke our home. You broke me. The least I can do is tell the truth. She reached for the edge of my desk. I've lost everything. I live in a rented room. I can't sleep. I see you in every dream. Her voice failed her. I just want forgiveness, exhaled slowly. Forgiveness isn't a gift you beg for. It's something you earn. Her lip trembled. How do I earn it? By living with what you've done, I said. By not running from the mirror. She wiped her face, nodding. You've changed, Ethan. Yes, I said quietly. You helped me. She stood, uncertain. I didn't come here to make you feel guilty. I don't feel guilt, I said. Just closure. She hesitated at the door. Did you ever still love me? Even for a second. I looked at her, the woman I'd built a life around, the one who'd burned it all. Once, I said, but that version of me died with your lies. She left without another word. The silence she left behind felt clean, like air after a storm. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The memories came, her laughter, the way she'd hold my hand while we planned our future. For a moment, I almost reached for my phone, but morning came cold and steady. I scrolled through my contacts until I saw her name. My thumb hovered. Then I pressed delete. No hesitation. No anger, just peace. For the first time in years, the ghost of love was gone. Rain hammered against the windshield as I waited for Ryan outside the bar. He was late again, an hour past his shift. When he finally stumbled out, his shirt half untucked, I knew what was coming. Ryan said through the window, "You're drunk." He waved a shaky hand. "I can drive." "I'm fine." "You're not," I said sharply. "Give me the keys." He laughed bitterly. "Still giving orders? Huh? Some things never change." I opened the door. "Get in the passenger seat." He ignored me and slid behind the wheel, fumbling with the ignition. "You always think you're better than me, Ethan, even now." "I don't think," I said. "I know what I've become and what you've wasted." He slammed the accelerator. The car lurched forward, tires screeching through the rain. I grabbed the dashboard, heart pounding. "Slow down." I shouted. "You want control?" He yelled, eyes wild. "You can't control this." The world blurred, lights, rain, and metal, then impact. The sound of shattering glass cut through everything. When I opened my eyes, smoke filled the car. My head throbbed. Ryan's side was crumpled, blood on his forehead. "Ryan," I gasped, pulling at his seatbelt. "Stay with me." He groaned. "Why do you come back for me?" I yanked him out of the wreck, dragging him into the mud. The rain turned red around us. "I'm not saving you," I said between breaths. "I'm saving myself," he coughed, gripping my arm. You could have let me die? Maybe I should have?" He started to laugh, broken, hollow sound. "You always win, don't you? Even when I try to ruin you." I stared at him. "You didn't ruin me, Ryan. You just exposed who you really are." He turned his head weakly. "I envied you," he whispered. "Your calm, your talent, the way people looked at you. Even Alina, I just wanted to be you." "That's your problem," I said quietly. "You never wanted your own life." Tears mixed with the rain on his face. "I thought taking what you had would make me whole. It didn't. It broke me." I sat back, chest heaving. The flashing ambulance lights approached from a distance. "For the first time, I didn't feel anger, just exhaustion, Ryan," I said. "You destroyed yourself." "I don't need to." He looked at me, eyes glassy. "Does it make you feel better, seeing me like this?" "No," I said softly. "It makes me free." He closed his eyes as sirens screamed closer. I stood, stepping back from the wreckage. Watching the rain wash the dirt from my hands, the storm eased, leaving only smoke and silence. For years, I'd chased revenge like oxygen, But standing over the ruins of his choices, I finally understood vengeance doesn't rebuild. It only burns, and I was done burning. When I knocked on Alina's door, I wasn't sure why I'd come. Maybe curiosity, maybe closure. The door creaked open, and I barely recognized her. She looked frailly sunken, hair thin, wrapped in a blanket that seemed heavier than her body. "Ethan," she whispered. "You came." "I did," I said quietly. "You asked to see me?" She motioned for me to sit. "I didn't think you'd come after everything. I didn't think I would either." Her hands trembled as she poured tea, the cup clinking against the saucer. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said. "I just wanted to see you. One last time." I stared at the floor. "You look tired, Alina." "I am," she sighed. "Life's been harder than I thought." Ryan left, took what little I had. "I guess karma works fast," I didn't reply. The silence between us was louder than words. She looked up, eyes glistening. "I never stopped loving you, Ethan. I was just weak. I wanted excitement, attention. Ryan gave me that. I thought it was love." I met her gaze. "And now I know it wasn't," she said softly. "It was noise. Empty noise. You were the quiet I didn't know I needed." Her words should have stung. Instead, they felt distant like echoes from another life. "I used to hate you," I admitted. "For what you did, for how easily you replaced me. But now I don't. I just see two broken people who didn't know how to love right." Tears streamed down her face. "I destroyed the only person who ever truly cared for me." "No," I said gently. "You destroyed yourself." "I just survived it," she sobbed, clutching her blanket. "Do you ever think about us?" "Every day," I said. "But not the way you think. I think about how love without respect is just pain. You taught me that." Her lips trembled. "If I could go back, you can't," I interrupted. "Neither of us can." She reached for my hand. I let her fingers brush mine, cold and shaking. For a brief second, I felt the ghost of what we once were before lies. "Before betrayal. I'm sorry," she whispered. "I know," I said. "And maybe that's enough." I stood, looking around the small apartment dim, quiet, filled with memories that no longer belonged to me. "Goodbye, Alina." She nodded weakly. "Goodbye, Ethan." Outside, the evening breeze felt lighter. The weight I'd carried for years began to fade. That night, I sat by the window with a pen and an old notebook. I wrote, "To my younger self, you believed too much, trusted too blindly, loved too deeply. And that's okay. You did your best. I forgive you." For the first time, I meant it. The sun dipped low over the skyline, painting the glass towers in shades of gold. I leaned back in my chair, the hum of the city below faint through the window. My reflection stared back at me, older, calmer, unrecognizable from the man who once fell apart. Mark, my assistant, knocked softly. "Sir, your last meeting's canceled. Do you need anything before I leave?" I shook my head. "No, Mark, go home. Enjoy your evening," he smiled. "You never do, though," he gave a faint chuckle. "Someone has to keep the lights on." When he left, silence filled the room again. I poured myself a drink, the sound of ice clinking against glass oddly soothing. My eyes drifted to the framed blueprint on the wall, the first building I designed after everything fell apart. My rebirth, brick by brick. The phone buzzed once. A message from an old mutual contact. Ryan Miller, currently working as a driver at Weston Freight. I stared at it for a moment, then turned the screen face down. "Still driving," I murmured. Fitting. I didn't feel pride or spiteful distance. A long, steady distance between who I was and who I'd become. I remembered the day he first drove for me, trembling, silent, drenched in shame. That version of me had wanted him to suffer forever. But time had other plans. I looked out at the city lights. "Funny how life balances itself," I said quietly. Grace's voice echoed in my memory from a call last year. "You've changed, Ethan. You sound lighter." Maybe I was. Maybe losing everything had been the only way to find peace. I took a slow sip and whispered, "You were right, Mr. Harris. Revenge isn't fire, it's control." My reflection smirked faintly, as if agreeing. The man in the glass no longer carried anger in his eyes, only stillness. Sometimes, I still dreamed of Alina, her laughter in the kitchen, her perfume lingering in the hallway. But the dreams no longer hurt. They were just remnants, ghosts that knew their place. Wherever you are, I said softly, I hope you found peace too. The city buzzed beneath me, people rushing, cars honking, lives colliding. Yet, for once, I felt no need to chase or fix anything. Everything was exactly where it needed to be. I turned off the lights and opened the window. Cool air brushed my face, carrying the faint scent of rain. The world moved on, and so did I. Looking out over the horizon, I whispered, sometimes silence is the loudest justice. The words hung in the air, soft but final. I smiled, not the smile of victory, but of release. For years I thought revenge meant watching them fall. But tonight, watching the sun vanish over a city I rebuilt with my own hands, I finally understood. The real victory was learning to let go.